Hi everyone. The excerpt that you just heard was the Christopher Wilson Suite for Strings, and this was the first movement. If you're looking at the violin audition excerpts, this is excerpt B. All right. This excerpt is super exciting, and it is a little on the faster side. So something to ask yourself, why would they choose this specific excerpt? And I can think of really three big things. One, tempo. So we want to see if you can stay in time, all right? And that's easier said than done, and we'll go ahead and talk about specific places that you want to be aware of. Second thing is rhythm, okay? So we want to make sure that we're not only in time and we can keep a steady pulse, but we're actually playing the rhythm accurately and consistently, okay? So that's one more thing. And then another thing to consider is style. And what I mean by style, I'm really talking about bow articulation, okay? And what I mean by that is from the beginning, you are playing more legato and on the string. And as we get to, for instance, the second line, okay, where the tempo feels like it's accelerating, but it's not, it's just the rhythm, that's when you probably need to play more of a brush stroke, okay? So it's a little bit off the string, but not completely, okay? So listening to a recording, as I said, will help you understand the tempo a little bit better, and also tonal center. You want to make sure that you are playing in tune, okay? So this excerpt, by the way, is part of a 5-minute movement, okay? You can listen to this movement anywhere: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, anywhere that's most convenient for you. And this excerpt is actually in the last minute and a half, okay? So I would definitely start from the beginning, but you definitely, if you want to hear just the excerpt itself, look or find the excerpt towards the end. Okay, first thing, okay, when deciding the tempo, so we can see the suggestion is between 124 and 132. Mainly for all orchestral excerpts, you want to go with something that's in between. So you could probably do like 130 or 127 or 130, those are your best bets. But when you are practicing, please do not take that tempo. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're going to look at the beginning, okay, at a slower tempo. Now, as you can see at the very beginning, we have espressivo. Please, guys, you need to make sure that you know what espressivo is. So that is expressive, okay? And the other thing is we have a sforzando with an immediate diminuendo, okay? It's very important that you pay close attention to detail and you are really looking at those dynamics, okay? So from the beginning, I'm gonna go ahead and do 100. So that is about 20 to 24 clicks slower than the tempo that is marked. When you are practicing, you want to make sure that you practice slow. Slow is okay, slow is not bad, okay? So, looking at the beginning, I'm also thinking about subdividing. So I'm thinking about the middle section, okay? So I definitely don't want to choose a tempo that's too fast, and I want to make sure I'm not speeding up. So from the beginning, we have as you heard at the very end, it was very easy for me to push the tempo, and that's something that we want to avoid, okay? So in the beginning, starting at G, it's very lyrical. So I would definitely play with your sounding points, especially in the, I would say in the last few measures of the first line. Okay, so as you can see, I'm kind of moving my bow and pushing it away from my face so I can get closer to the fingerboard. That's definitely something to do. Something else that you could do is change the speed of your vibrato. So a wider vibrato is favored for something that is a little bit bigger in sound. So for instance, in the beginning, we have that forzando. I would use a wider vibrato. Okay, and then when you get to the very last section of that G sharp with the pianissimo, we would do, so definitely like more narrow, and you can definitely let that section fade away. Okay, so overall, between on the first line, that's going to be more legato and very lyrical. Where things start to get fun is line 2. So for line 2, my suggestion, okay, is to break this apart entirely. Okay, so what I would do is I would turn on my metronome, and I'm only going to play the downbeats. I'm not even going to play the rhythm that's marked. So for instance, if we're looking at the second line, we have A natural, that's the downbeat, and then we have C natural, which is B2, E natural is next, and then A again, and then we have the B flat. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play those 5 notes. I'm just going to play those 5 notes, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the rhythm when I feel super confident that I'm on time. Exactly. Okay, so also do the crescendo, do the dynamic. Okay, I feel super confident about that, and that helps you kind of shape the phrase so I know where I'm going. Now I'm going to go 1 measure at a time, and this type of practicing is quite tedious, so that means that, it's going to take some time, but I highly recommend that you do it. So we're going to look at 1 measure at a time, and that's just second line, first measure. Okay, I felt that I was slowing down, so I'm going to go ahead and do that again until I feel like it's really on time. Okay, I feel sort of confident about that, and I'm going to go ahead and play now the second measure, same way. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put both parts together. Okay, and then when I feel super ready, I can go ahead and play that at the faster tempo or a tempo. So I'm going to go ahead and make it up to 120, and I'm going to play this 1 more time. Definitely you can hear the tempo change, it's a lot faster. So I'm going to play the downbeats just 1 more time. So now I know how to shape the phrase. So I'm going to build in crescendo. Now, brisk off the bow almost. And I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to apply that same technique or that same practice method to the rest. Now, if we look forward after the B flat, we are going to have a shift coming up. Now, you are more than welcome to shift into 3rd position and then make that stretch to the E flat, which you see on that fortissimo marking. You could do that. It's going to be a little tricky, but always remember, golden rule is choose fingerings that sound the best for you, okay? If you notice that your teacher or a friend of yours is giving you a fingering that doesn't really work for you and then you do something else that sounds better, just go for it, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and look at this section. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my practice tempo, which is 100, okay? We're going to go ahead and do the same thing, which was just playing the downbeats. So I'm going to play, this is after the B flat, so I'm looking at measure 5 of the second line. So here I have A first, F natural, A again, and then D natural, okay? And I'm going to make sure that I practice it with the shift that I have in mind. My shift is into 4th position, okay? And you want to make sure when you're shifting to different positions that you have your first finger as a guide, and that's going to help us out in just a few measures more. So I'm going to play it now with good tempo. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm now going to do the same method I did before, which was 1 measure at a time, and then the sound wasn't very clean, and that's probably because I was putting too much pressure on the string. So I'm going to do that 1 more time, and this time I'm actually going to open up my arm more. I like the sound on that one. Now here, right after the E flat, we have a D sharp that presents itself. If I were you, I would try to go into third position. It's not that big of a stretch. You're gonna go into third position and play that G sharp, and you can either stay here, which is totally fine to do. Just make sure that you string floss, or just make sure that each and every single note is very clean. Or you can play the E flat in fourth position, the G sharp, and then play everything in first position, and then go to third. That is another idea. Whichever you feel most comfortable with, go ahead and play, all right? Now, it really just boils down to, can you play the certain fingering at the performance tempo? So if you can play it at 100, but then you can't make it at 120, either one, reevaluate the way that you're shifting. So you want to make sure that you do not hit this part of the instrument, which is basically the box. And if you're not shifting properly, or you need to make sure that you are calculating your shifts as well. So if you don't even know where you're shifting to because you don't have the guide notes, that's going to be an issue. So remember, just fingerings matter and they're important, and you need to come up with a strategy, okay? So let's kind of put this whole section together. So we have so I was slowing down a little bit too much. That's not what I really wanted. But when I practice, I'm going to go ahead and go up in increments of 10 with my metronome. Your metronome is your best friend. You have to remember that it must stay close to you and with you always, all right? Without a metronome, we will be lost. Now, let's take a look at the next section. This is line 3. So this section can get a little tricky because looking at measures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Measure 5 where you have the C natural. We have to make sure that that's on the string, and the reason why we know it's on the string is because of the tenuto markings. So this is more détaché on the string, and I want you guys to use a lot of bow, and make sure that your sounding point is hopefully in the middle or closer to the bridge. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my metronome. I'm taking this is at 100. This is 20 clicks, or about 24 clicks slower than the tempo recommended, okay? So, I'm gonna go ahead and play. Okay, so I didn't exactly make my shift to the A natural, all right? That's not something that we want to happen during an audition. So, recommendation, color code your part. And what I mean by that is use colors to identify certain shifts that you have to make, or use the colors to show which positions you want to be in. So for instance, if you know that this specific section is going to be in third position, then color it all green, and all third position sections are in green. And same thing could happen with fourth position, fifth position. Strategy is important. So let's look at what I'm playing. So I started the C natural in third position. Now the E flat is only just a baby step, half step away. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my first finger there, and I'm already there to play my E flat an octave higher. Now this is gonna be a little tricky because I want to make it to that A natural. So what I have to do is find A, the lower octave A, so that I can find the higher A. So I'm gonna put my first finger, A string, okay? I'm gonna find that natural harmonic. Okay, this is a way you can practice. And then now I can find my high A. Okay, and then I can make it and land that shift every single time. So if you're putting this in real time, it's a very fast shift. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to 124. Okay, faster. So I'm gonna go ahead and do. the thing that was holding me back was my right arm. So when you are playing a faster section and when you're playing fortissimo, you need to open and close this arm very quickly and just like with more energy, okay? Just I'm gonna skip over to the run for a second. This run, make sure that you're playing all the proper notes. So I see an E flat in there. I see another E flat towards the end. Do not freak out over this one. We just want to make sure that it just happens in 2 beats and then you can make it to the next one, okay? So I'll just show you. I'm listening for the run in my head. I can already tell what I'm gonna do. Okay, that's kind of what we want to shoot for. Now, guys, if you're looking at the key change, there's a whole character change. Now we're in a major key, so sunshine and rainbows. And another thing is we have a decrescendo immediately after in 2 measures. So we have these sections with high intensity, high energy, and all of a sudden we have to back off. So strategy, we need to think about how much bow you are using at a given time and how you're going to make that decrescendo happen without just sounding too quiet. So I'm gonna go ahead and look at the major section. For me, I'm already thinking about the decrescendo once we started the key change. And I'm still thinking energetic and peppy. Let's go ahead and turn on our metronome. Okay, it's going a little too slow. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm actually using less bow, meaning I'm not doing this. I'm actually using a lot of speed and I'm kind of getting closer to the upper half of the bow. This is just gonna help me play a little bit softer and it's going to help me move my bow closer to the fingerboard because I want to get softer, just like I said. So let's do that one more time. Something that could help you as well is to start backwards. So after you have had a couple of weeks learning this excerpt, you can actually do the reverse method and start backwards at the very, very last few bars, okay? Now, the reason why this method is great is so that you can actually think about the things that you want to do at the end and try to do those exact things once you start from the beginning. A better way of explaining it is sometimes when we start off really strong in our excerpts, and then we get tired very quickly because we're using so much energy, we're burning so many calories. So by the time you get to the end, it kind of fizzles out and it doesn't sound as clean or as strong as the beginning. So something you could do, start from the end. I'm gonna do that one more time. I want it to be a little bit more precise and maybe I kind of want to use more bow. I like that a lot, and maybe towards the end, lift the bow just slightly. So now I'm gonna go 2 bars backwards and do. Okay, I sort of like that. Now I'm gonna go 2 bars before that and play the run. All right, and then you would go 2 bars before that and 2 bars before that. And by doing that, you are going to understand how you want each and every single part of the excerpt to sound or get it to where you like it best. So there's always beginning, middle, and end to every single excerpt. You want to make sure that you start off very strong and you also end strong. Something also to consider is intention, okay? Remember that it is important to know exactly what you want to achieve. So always write down in your music the 3 things that you want to do with this piece. For me, the first thing I want to do is make sure that I'm doing the proper articulation. The second thing I want to do is make sure that I'm doing the proper dynamics. And the third thing I want to make sure that I'm doing is I want to make sure that I'm doing those shifts on time, okay? So now what I'm going to do is we're gonna play the entire excerpt. And I want you guys to be if you want to play along with me, that'd be great. I want you guys to think about how much bow you're using. How much bravado are you using? Are you being consistent about the tempo? Are you being lyrical? And are you having fun? Okay, so let's go ahead and play from the start. Okay, thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned for the next tutorial video. Guys, have a wonderful time and happy practicing. Bye, you guys.